hello. Welcome to A Cup of Joe with Joe. I'm your girl, Johanna, better known as Joe. Welcome to our eighth and our final episode of this season. I know, you guys, I know it's just of this season. I'm going to take a little pause, got a lot going on. We'll be back maybe towards the middle or end of fall to get more Cup of Joe with Joe. But for now, this will be our last episode, episode 8. But don't worry, I think we're gonna end with the best for last. So thank you so much for those of you who've been watching, who've been supporting me, sending me your ideas and your text message, particularly for the last show. I've gotten a lot of feedback about the last show. So thank you. And the subject of self-care, mental health. I'm glad that you guys are taking care of yourselves. You're taking care of you first, putting that mask on. So thank you for all the encouragement and everyone who's reached out telling me how much they enjoy it. I do appreciate it. So what I want to ask you guys to do is, one, go ahead and like and subscribe the YouTube page. If you're following me on Facebook, I have my personal page, Johanna Desir, and I have my business page, which is under my consulting page. I think I've seen a couple of you guys, and you guys have already liked the page. So go ahead and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. My Instagram page, definitely give me a follow there. And if you have my phone number, you shoot me text messages as well. So like I said, this will be our eighth and final episode for the season. And in continuing with the whole self-care and taking care of ourselves, knowing who we are and what we are, whose we are, and wanting to take care of ourselves, our mental health, taking care of, our well-being, I wanted to kind of end this episode, this season with this episode, because if you know me, one of the ways I love taking care of myself, one of the ways that I'm very proud of taking care of myself is how I look, how I dress, how I put myself together. So today's episode, under the self-care and mental health umbrella, I'm going to entitle it Look Good, Feel Good. Because a lot of you know that, some of you are calling me the fashionista and whatnot, or in Creole, Tichelbe and all of that. So I wanted to end today with another guest that I have with me, my second guest at A Cup of Joe with Joe, who is a dear friend. I've known her for a number of years now. I encountered her in Nashville, and she literally changed my life. I mean that literally. She literally changed how I dress, what I put together, particularly in my professional life, as well as my fun personal life. Kind of helped me understand wardrobe, how to use colors and different things. And so if you see, that you guys are all the pictures that you see on Instagram, on Facebook, and you're like, my gosh, she just know how to put herself together. Yeah, there's a little bit of help behind that. And so please help me welcome my dear friend and stylist extraordinaire, Katie Watford. Hi, honey. We're on via Zoom.
Hi, love. Well, that was such a sweet introduction. My goodness, I'm blushing over here.
Well, you deserve it, honey. You are amazing, phenomenal. We haven't seen each other in like a few years because you've left me.
I know. I'm not in Nashville anymore, and I've moved, and so that's why I'm so glad to see you. Just like I feel like I'm there with you at your house. So you look stunning as always.
Thank you, darling. Well, for today's show, I had to primp up just a little bit. I mean, we are talking about look good, feel good, so I had to look the part, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm not gonna lie, it did pep my mood a little bit once I put all of this on, so it does work. So what we're going to do today is we're going to get to know Katie a little bit about her background, what she loves doing, her company, what she's doing right now. And we're going to talk particularly about women, Black women, about using their style, their clothing to reflect how they feel on the inside, right? When you feel good on the inside, when you know who you are, you know whose you are, you're confident, how does that translate in how you look, right? And I know we talk about, don't judge a book by its cover and blah, blah, blah. If you know that, if you are alive and you are a woman, sometimes, most of the time, unfortunately, they do judge a book by its cover, particularly for women in corporate world, especially Black women in the corporate world. So Miss Katie, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, how we met, and how you've helped me and other women like me find their sense of style that represent their personality and who they truly are.
Okay. Question one. I am a professional fashion stylist. I lived in LA for a very long time, over 15 years. And I was in Hollywood styling celebrities for red carpet appearances. I've styled for the Academy Awards, the Golden Globes, Independent Spirits Awards, Comic-Con, Today Show, Conan O'Brien, and the list just goes on and on and on. As fancy and as fabulous as it all may sound,
Yeah.
it really wasn't what I love to do in life. And I love working with women because as I was in LA, and I really noticed like there really lacked a sense of real education on how to do this for you. There's a lot of things that show women how to buy trends, what's in season or out of season, but there's not really stuff that comes from a holistic point of view. So I just naturally kind of got out of the entertainment business, and I had like a detour chapter in my life, and that was Nashville. I met Miss Johanna in Nashville, Tennessee, and it was really like love at first sight.
I always, you and another friend of mine had the same almost background. They were in LA, California. Something happened and they detoured in their life and they ended up in Nashville for a short time and they met me. And so you're just like my friend. So I'm saying it, the God said, you know what, Katie needs to run into Johanna. So I'm going to make her stop in Nashville just for me. So I'm going to say you came to Nashville just for me, my dear. And I thank you.
We have to thank God for that, right? Because he just, I need these two to meet together. And it was totally a God's wink, a God's intervention.
Was.
Yeah. And I remember the day when I met you and I was like, this vivacious woman with this personality. And she does like all this like stuff with her shoes when she's like excited about it. So, so we met in Nashville and we just started working together immediately. And she's helped me come up with one of my terms in my business, which is called the Fashion Gods. And just to give y'all a fun insider thing on what that is, don't ever freak out if something sells out, ladies. We always just turn it over to the Fashion Gods. Joe and I paid for a pair of shoes for her and we got them. So so we have like a deep connection.
We do. Yeah. I never worry about finding something anymore because I think God just connected us. And for my, Christian friends, that's the thing. God is involved even in the little things. So even the things as fashion, God makes it happen as well. You just have to know the right resource.
He's a mighty God. He likes his ladies looking good. So
he does.
Well, Nashville, the detour that Nashville gave me, it propelled what I do now. And so, I was living in a completely different culture, but I was born and raised in Florida. So I don't come from a very fashionable background by any means. But what Nashville gave me insight on what really is missing for women out there. So I started a virtual styling and consulting business. And to date, that is how I operate with working with women in corporate America, executives, working with entrepreneurs, business owners, brand ambassadors, where I help them develop their style through my program. And what we're going into now into 2021 is I'm going into more online courses and digital products and expanding it kind of to that. So if someone's just wanting a little education, then we're starting to roll that out now.
Awesome. And so tell us, and for my audience, and you could use me as an example. How, first of all, I know you work with women. So talk about your women profile, like the type of women do you work with? That is your base. Talk about more so on I think you mentioned it, the discovery of their style and the aha moment they get when they find what that is, when you help guide them to find what that is. And even in something like that, how that transform their selves, the image they have about themselves, and then how they then carry themselves going forward. Because I think for me, that's what you mean in my life. Like I've always had clothes, I've always had shoes, but there was an education process that I realized that just changed the outlook, what I feel about myself when I'm going into a meeting or when I'm going out to dinner with a girlfriend. Like, just talk a little bit about what the change you see in that journey with your clients.
So I love this. And I was getting like these cognitions while you were talking. So ladies, you can choose to look at clothes just as I got to get dressed and go out into the world. Or you can look as your personal style as a very powerful tool, how to communicate, how to open up doors, how to be a almost free advertisement for yourself. It is a tool that women totally put at the bottom of their list.
Yes.
And they don't put it at the top of their list because we do live in a world where we communicate, I believe it's 93% more non-verbally than we do verbally. Of course, we do get judged by how we look because we communicate visually. And when a woman is dressed, she always stands out. But when a woman is dressed and she is reflecting her personality, who she is, she will stand out in the boardroom. She will stand out in the restaurant. She will stand out wherever she goes. And that doesn't mean it's in a flashy way. It just means there's another essence that comes from a woman. And it just speaks. I always say it's a silent language. It's saying something without saying anything. And it's a wonderful way, especially for women in the workplace, to use it to their advantage instead of their disadvantage. Because honey, a woman who's dressed to the nines or is putting her best self out there, as you're talking about your self-care, and she does that through her appearance, it is so transformative in our minds, in our souls, and then in our careers as well.
I 100% co-sign on that. Like, that is, when I encountered you, I was in a period in my career where my career trajectory was going high, and we talked about that. And I remember one day I came to you, I was like, I'm going to these board meetings, and oftentimes not only am I the only woman, I'm the only Black woman. And that weighs heavy on you. Like, you may want to pretend it doesn't exist, or the vibe doesn't exist, but it does exist. And so I knew my stuff. I'm talented at what I do. I know what I'm doing, but like you said, the nonverbal of when I walk into a room and I have that clicker in my hand and I'm doing a presentation, I command the attention without even speaking a word yet. Then what then changes their mind is like, whoa, okay, there's the look and then there's the brain behind it. That combination as a woman, as a woman in corporate America, is priceless. And it is part of feeling good about what you're doing and knowing who you are. And it is part of that self-care because it shows you put thought into yourself. So that's what it did for me. I 100% agree on that.
Yeah. We talked about this, and I want to share this with your viewers. 80% of the women that come to me in corporate America are African American.
I love that. When you told me that last time we spoke, I was like, holy mo! First of all, to my girls for going out there, getting a professional to help you put your best foot forward. So if you're that entrepreneur, that boss babe, and you know to go and find the resource to do that, bravo. I love it. I do.
I had to like write down my statistics of like, I've worked with creative professionals, I've worked with this. And then I thought about it. I was like, wow, in corporate America, I have way more of a portfolio and a clientele. And statistically, I broke it down to 80% with African-American women. And I still have exactly right now, that's exactly what I have going on. So
that's amazing.
And so that's what I say with like Joe just did, snaps to it.
Snap to it. Now, why do you think now more African-American women, more corporate women are looking for you as a resource in their career now? What do you think has shifted?
Well, we're in a different time where it is very obvious that women are working their way up the different ladders. It's obviously opened up to diversity big time within lots of different companies.
Right.
And so when you do get that promotion and you do get that opportunity, something sinks into you and you know, like you have to bring another, you have to step up your game more. For instance, I just started about 6 months ago. It was right at the end of 2020. I have a wonderful woman. She was in Louisville, Kentucky. She's such a superstar. She interviewed for a position, African-American woman. She works for a company that is has 10,000 employees.
Wow.
She interviewed for the position out of 700 people. Wow. And she got the position. They, but she called me as soon as it happened and she said, listen, like, I need to do this. And so when you know you're going into a different caliber, when your standard of self-care, your standard of life goes up, then you have to look at other parts of yourself. Well, what needs to increase? So that's what I think it has to do with just with the times that we're in, when the opportunities sink in. But I want to share this too. You don't always have to wait for that promotion to come to you. You create these opportunities by dressing for the part with where you want to go in life, so it doesn't always, that's how you get doors opened up as well. And so if you're like a junior executive or you're a business owner, or where you might be more not at that, I have this promotion that just happened in my life. This is a wonderful tool that you can take charge of now that I promise you will so transform your life.
No, I love that. I love that what you said. You don't have to wait to get to that promotion, right? Look the part you want now, right? Look the part you want now, and it will you will attract it, right? You will attract it. My husband, we have this quote: proper preparation prevents poor performance, right? So you do the proper preparation now. When it comes to you, you're ready to perform because you've already been preparing for it. So it's the same thing with how you look. And again, how you look will affect your inside, because I know there are days where I don't feel like it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get up. I'm going to put a little lipstick, do, my face. I'm going to get that cute clutch. You know what? I'm going to walk around with that cute clutch, and I'm going to put my little heels on. It makes me feel better. Like, I'm like, oh, what was I down for? And so there's a lot of ways that I know Katie and her resources have helped me look at myself differently and incorporate that in what I consider my self-care routine. So I agree with that. You don't have to wait to get to that. You can start doing them right now.
Exactly.
Which then, Katie, leads me into the next question, because everybody's wondering. Then they're like, okay, well, clearly this is not affordable. It has to be name brand. It has to be fancy and flashy and all of that. And I know in your field, that is some of the apprehension that women have. And so talk a little bit about that in terms of resource and really making women understand that it's not far out of reach for them to do that as part of putting their self together, their self-care.
This is my specialty, what you're talking about now. I mean, the whole thing is you got to identify that who you want to be. How's your vibe look? And then becomes like, well, we got to buy the pieces, right? And exactly. Everybody goes, this is going to be so expensive. I'm going to spend all this money. And this is where I love to wow people. I love to save people money. I call this Katie's Deals and Steals, because we live in a time where you can you can rebuild your wardrobe. It can have what I call highs and lows, designer pieces, fast fashion pieces, for all at affordable prices. I can show people how to get a Prada shoe that was normally $800 for $110. It's the same price point that you're buying if you go to Nordstrom and getting a Sam Edelman piece. There's that misconception that I have to break through with clients, but then it becomes also, we've got to make sure those wowable pieces also speak who you are. So it's one thing, because we don't want just to buy something just because it's on sale at a good price, have it hang in your closet,
or because it's the name brand, or because it's the name brand. That's the whole point. Who are you? Who are you exactly?
I'm wearing this jacket that I got a few years ago. This was originally, if my memory serves me correctly, either $295 or $395. And that is just like, because I know what I can get it for. And so I waited and waited and waited. I think I got this for like $80. It's a designer jacket. I love it. I wear it all the time. I've obviously had it for multiple years. And it also speaks to my color code that I have for my wardrobe. It speaks to my style types, which is something that I do with women on, I develop their personalities and by their style types. And so it's not about spending a lot of money. It's about spending your money correctly. And that's a big hurdle for women is financial part, is thinking they has to go into all of this. It's not, it just has to be something that you do commit to, just like if you're going to do a workout plan or a nutritional plan or any other type of transformation program, you know?
No, I agree. And it's, talk about that. Like you sent me my personality, like you sent me a fashion personality. And I mean, I've said this on the show before. I love personality profiles, like anything that gets you to understand who you are, what makes you tick and blah, blah, blah. Well, in styling and fashion, they have one of those. So I was so excited to take one because I was like, yeah, I want to know what my style is and what I'm drawn to, what's my vibe, and talk about how you walk a woman through that process of understanding their own style. Because oftentimes they come to you, they don't know their own style, right?
They don't know anything. I don't work with women that have worked with the stylist. I work with women who've never done this. They're curious. They're a little like scared. They're like, what is this like? And so I've had to learn, and I pride myself in that I've developed how to work with women step by step in a very comfortable way that's not overwhelming, that teaches them how to develop their style. And to answer your question, Joe, it's phase one is you have to go through a style blueprint. So if you're like, how do I even begin this process? That you have to start with going into what even like how pre-production would. That's if you, those who are in the, you're not going to just go straight on set and just start like lights, camera, action. You've got to get things set up. So part of that would be, what are your style types? Because this is a part of what's your personality. So a very general one that everybody probably has heard of would be like, well, what are your adjectives? So are you classic? Are you boho? Are you edgy? You know, those are general adjectives that are out there but you have to take it a step further in understanding the vibe and the type. And then that also dictates the shopping list. It sets up what you need to do in a mood board. So there's a whole fun, creative process. That's why I call it transformative, because it's not, let's run to the store and pick out 5 outfits and then you're done. It's, let's go discover who this woman is that wants to get that promotion. Let's discover this woman who did get that promotion and who she has these shoes she has to step into now. Who is this woman who, you know, it is really taking it into like our mind, and then I guess creating a character in a way, but it's who you are. You know, it's a version of you.
No,
no,
go ahead. You could finish with what I'm going to say to them.
And then the part that's so interesting for me is we do the roadmap together and we set the tone, and women go and get some of the pieces that I recommend to them virtually. And then here comes the interesting part. It's stepping into it. So I just had a coaching session with the client yesterday, and we've been working together a couple months, and she goes, Katie, I haven't worn a lot of my new outfits. I love them all. And there's something about women, they get a little kind of like, oh, I got to do this. And that's where it's a process, you know, there's a lot of different reservations or questions or things that go through it. And learning to own your confidence is such a process, and having your image reflect your confidence. And it doesn't, it's not just, it just goes from 1 to 100 overnight. You know, you've got to grow with it.
No, I agree. And I think this is one of the reasons why I wanted to end this season with this episode is because
So
we've been, yes, it's because we've been talking about the internal work. We've been talking about putting the mask on ourselves first. We've been talking about when your body tells you to take time out for yourself to do that. We've been talking about finding who you are, like what's God's plan for your life? What's your next journey? What are you comfortable doing? Like owning who you are. Well, part of that, particularly for me, like this is what I wanted to share with the world. When I went through all of those things in my journey, this was one of the last things. It's like, okay, I know who I am now. I am confident. I know who Joe is. I know what Joe's not going to do, what Joe can do. I know when Joe knows to take a pause and shut everything down and take care of her. But I also know I'm going somewhere in my corporate world. I'm going somewhere in my career. I want to be a business owner. I want to do this. And the way I look, now I want to reflect how I feel about myself. I want to reflect this confident, caring, smart, entrepreneurial woman. Okay, I want to do that with my wardrobe. And so I do agree. It is a journey that does take a lot of mental fortitude to accept, okay, I know who I am now. Can let me step in it. And the more it's baby step, the more you do it, the more confident you get. And the more like you know what you want. And it all makes sense because it is mind, body, and soul. So it's the inside as much as it is on the outside. And so today I wanted to take the time to find somebody who's the expert because I always told you guys, I'm not the expert. Like I have people around me. I use my tools and my resources very well. And so I don't want anybody to think, oh my gosh, Johanna's doing all of this by herself. No, she's not. She plugs in with resources, particularly when there are other women to help me become the better version of myself.
yeah.
And so what do you find then when a woman has discovered that version of themselves and they've taken everything that you've given them and they're using that? What kind of feedback do they give you when that aha moment goes on? What does that look like for you who just walk them through that journey?
Well, the feedback they give me is specifically, they say, Katie, I don't have the anxiety anymore of getting myself dressed and ready. And that is so massively in so many women's lives. They have anxiety about what to wear, where they're going to this place. That will knock you off of your zone. You can't be like ready to go for the opportunity if you've experienced, because it's a very powerful mood if you have a closet full of clothes, nothing to wear. Plus, if it's a closet full of clothes that's reflecting stuff that's negative on you, it seeps into your mind. And so when I get the reward of saying I helped eliminate anxiety out of someone's life, increase their confidence, and have them just feel so good in their skin. I don't have words for it. I just go, God, I don't know why you gave me this talent, but you did. And I thank you for it because, and I just love what I do. So it's just, I love showing women that it's not as complicated as it may feel or as mysterious as it may feel. It's a simple process. It's not brain surgery, but it is a wonderful commitment for yourself. And I just truly do thank God that he gave me this talent. Cause I mean, just to give a little like real talk for me, I have always struggled with my confidence. I was the most insecure person. I still really work hard at it, which is why I think I'm so passionate at what I do. I could never take a compliment ever in my life. And so I know how hard it is to look in the mirror and really like yourself or really feel comfortable with yourself.
Right.
And I've been picked on, made fun of when I was younger because of my weight. I've had all sorts of different things to happen to me. I can relate what it's like in a similar way. And that is why I love what I do, because I've been there. I wasn't the pretty girl in high school that everybody just flocked to. And we don't see everybody's stories when we meet them.
Right.
And your image can become a part of your story. And that's really how I look at it. I don't look at trends. I stay on them just because it's kind of part of my job, but I don't really talk about them. Right. I think that people are the most fascinating thing. I think somebody's story, Johanna, I think your story is absolutely like, you know, and I love thinking of ways to share with you, like, let's do this because this captures your essence of who you are.
Yes. And I love when you're looking for pieces for me and things like that. Like you've helped even me. Like I was, especially coming from New York, I was a lot of jacket, black and gray, because that's somehow how I felt about myself. And I remember the first time you introduced color to my wardrobe, it was a green jacket. It was a Topshop green jacket with the black and white gingham top.
Uh-huh.
And I think it was the white skinny jeans that I
Uh-huh.
had, and it was the Jimmy Choo platform, kind of brown. I would have never
Sandal. Yeah.
sandals, right? I would have never paired any of those together. And I remember the first time I wore it, I was going to Atlanta. Like you styled for me for that week to go to Atlanta. Oh my gosh, like I felt so confident and so different about how you helped me get out of my own head. But I was hanging to those dark colors and things like that because, like you said, I went into my closet and it just weighed me down. And so I just went and did what I would normally do and not put thought into it. And so for me, psychologically, the process of working with you has given my confidence, an extra boost of confidence, particularly in corporate America.
Yeah.
It's very intimidating. And when you walk in a room, you're the only woman in the room and you're giving so you do need all of this. And it does take a lot of work to get to that. And part of who you are is looking good and feeling good. So I do think you're absolutely right. What you do for me, not speaking for me personally, what you did for me went deeper than my clothing. It really tapped into a missing piece of, okay, I'm starting to feel good. I know who I am. I know what I want. But this just kind of like put the cherry on top for me. That's what it did for me. So yeah, I wanted to share that with everybody.
Thank you, Joe. That's so sweet. Women, we're so wired to our looks. Like we naturally are wired to pick out what's wrong with us.
Yeah.
A woman will naturally show me or say to me why something looks bad or she can't do something. It's never a positive. It always starts with the negative. It's something in us that's ingrained, and it takes a lot of extra conscious effort into ourself of like, you have to really apply the positive outlook on it because it's just in us. I don't know why. I don't know where. I had a woman one time tell me why she couldn't wear a pair of shoes because she had wrinkles on her feet. And I was like, nobody's looking at your feet like that, honey. They're looking at how gorgeous these shoes are on you. And so, but there's just always that thing. And so that's what I love to share is when you can eliminate that voice. I call it the voice of Jaja. And because Jaja's in us all, like Jaja's in us all. And when you get rid of Jaja, then your life just like, it becomes a different playing field. You just don't carry around that anxiety. You get to smile a lot more.
Yeah.
I'm not a mother, but I work with all mothers and they always say, Katie, I get to be a better mom because of this work. I get to be a better wife. I get to be better at work just because it's rewarding and building you.
Yeah.
And it is psychological, like what you said, and into a place where that's what really someone has to start to discover is what's holding them back. And if there's not anything holding them back, then it's just building forward.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah, the confident, like you see it like with Francesca. She now goes in my closet all the time. She's in her dad's closet. Now she's in my side of the closet. Like it does affect every other area of your life because you present the real you, the authentic you, unencumbered, unfiltered. You come off authentic and real. And I tell people all the time, if there's one thing you're gonna get from Joe, is you're gonna get genuine authenticity from me. And that's part of doing that. One of the things.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, you said when you said that closet was so heavy and those dark colors, Joe, you're a bright, beautiful woman. You're also this bright light. You're full of joy. Not many people have that joy that you do. And so that's why you have to have these color choices that you can wear because look at you, you're just beaming.
Oh, thank you, honey. Thank you. So I know we've been talking about women and corporate women and blah, blah, blah. There was last time you and I talked, you talked to me kind of, you don't have to give name or anything like, but talk to me about the wife that you mentioned when she finally wore these pair of jeans and what her husband like how it helped. Like you mentioned how her husband, like she wore the pair of jeans and I think her husband slapped her in her backside and she was like, ooh. And so that's the other piece also, married women, when you feel good and you look good and you're dressing up, again, you're not dressing up for your husband, but you are making yourself that more attractive for your husband. Trust me, he notices. And then eventually they go shopping for you. Thank you.
So I obviously, I listen to Steve Harvey. I don't know if you're a fan of Steve Harvey. I love him. And so love him. And so I've listened to a lot of his things because I've gotten so much feedback from wives on how their husbands just love this whole process. And so Steve Harvey always says, ladies, we're visual, like we're visual creatures, and not really knowing any of this. So to answer your question of that story, I had I believe it's actually a woman in Nashville, and I got her like to understand her style types. We put her in some outfits. We had her shop her closet. She didn't even have to go buy anything. She put some outfits together and she was all excited to wear it. And again, here's where the hump comes in. She was like, oh, I don't know if I should wear this because what's my husband going to think about me? And then if I do that, and I had to coach her a little bit to wear it. And so then she shared with me, she said, you will not believe what happened. And I said, what? And she goes, he came home from work. He went to go sit down in his spot that he always does right when he comes home from work. He sits down, he looks at me, he kind of looks back, he checks me out again, he gets up, he smacks me on my butt, and he takes out the trash without me even asking him. She was like, I didn't have to nag my husband to go do his chores. She said, Katie, this is amazing. Thank you.
Life changing, marriage changing. I'm talking about, and again, I'm also witness to that. My husband loves when I'm putting my outfits together, and you're right, they're visual. Those are all part of the essence of being a wife, of being a woman, and owning your femininity, and because you know who you are, and it's again deep down. It's not just the outside. It goes from the mind, the psyche, into your heart, and then now you manifest that. And so I love that story. So I really wanted you to tell that story.
It's a good one. It's definitely a good one. And when she told me that, I was like, I've heard a lot of good feedbacks from my clients, but that's like such a clever, not clever, but like, how many people want their husband just taken out doing their chores without them asking them? So I proudly share that one.
No, that was a good one. That was a good one. So any advice would you have in our closing minutes? Any advice would you have for our women out there who are sitting and thinking, okay, I maybe I should do this, or maybe I shouldn't. How do I even go about doing this? What advice, what resource? Talk about what do you have? Like, how do they find you? Or people like you, how do they go on this journey now that they've learned about who they are, whose they are, they understand self-care, and they want to make this part of their self-care routine? What advice would you have for them on their first step?
Okay, well, you need to create a style blueprint. You have to have an outline of how it is that you want to look. You can't keep shopping anymore without this piece. This is the foundational piece. You can only build as high up as your foundation is deep. And 99% of women are missing that roadmap on how it is that they want to look. So if that's that's step one on how to begin this journey. If there's anybody out there that's like, I would love to know more, and because Jo is such a dear friend of mine and I adore her so much, if you really genuinely have just a question for me, you're more than welcome to DM me, email me. I'm happy to even give you a free consultation with me and you on the phone or on Zoom, where we could easily just get in. I could give you a proper style assessment, and that would be very eye-opening. If you do reach out, please just say, I'm one of Jo's viewers, friends, girls, just drop Jo's name, and we'll be more than happy to talk to you. I have lots of different opportunities or online services to fit within many women's budgets, to work with them. And so whether that just be very in the beginning, just learning a few online education pieces, many different things. So email me, reach out to me, say hi. And my website is katiewatford.com, WATFORD. And my email is katie@katiewatford.com, or I said like DM me on any of my social media outlets.
No, absolutely. Thank you for that. And you guys, Katie's information is also going to be attached and tagged and this show as well. I am one of Katie's client. I am on a subscription. Like I say, I make the sacrifice, I make the effort because it's part of who I am. It's part of what I want to represent. It's part of my self-care routine. You know, I have my therapist, I have my stylist. It's like I have my doctors, my dentist, my eye surgeon. It's all part of me being the best version of myself while I am on this earth. And so if you see this bubbly, whatever, they're just different resources that I use in different areas that make me who I am. And this is just one of them. And so Katie's information will be posted, will be attached and tagged to this show. Definitely give her a shout. And if you are interested in this, and even just to have a conversation to know where to start, yeah. I absolutely recommend it. And it will do wonders to your psyche. Like, you won't understand how much you needed it until you are on the journey. So I definitely recommend it. And so anything else you want to say to our audience? And, like, you are my second guest and you're closing the show.
I'm honored that we're closing the season with me. I'm honored that I get to work with such a lovely woman like you. I'm glad that we're also just my friend who I adore inside and out. And thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. I'm so proud of you that you're doing this show, because you're such a brilliant woman, and to see you sharing your multiple gifts from all the things that you offer. I'm just a fan of watching you and cheering you on. And so it was definitely my pleasure to be here. So it was more, not necessarily anything to them, but more to you, that I love you to pieces, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, honey. I love you too. You are a central piece of my life, of my journey, of my growth, especially in the last 5 years in Nashville. I love you. I appreciate it. And I can't wait to get down to Florida and spend some time with you in person. And exactly. And you come up there, and the guest room is always open for you, my dear. So ladies, so this is our, again, last episode of the season. I hope you love this episode. I hope you really take this information. For those of you who are thinking, or if you've been texting and asking me about my wardrobe and whatnot, there she is. I finally give you guys the secret. The secret is out. Definitely subscribe to the page, Katie's page as well, which again, I will tag on the show as I'm posting them. Definitely go out there, do the style assessment. If the very least you do, so you can understand what you want your wardrobe to look like. Go back and rewatch some of those other episodes. I will prepare next season and come back stronger, better, and wiser. I love you all. Katie, again, thank you so much, honey, for coming. I love you guys. Like and subscribe, and I will see you guys soon at another episode of Cup of Joe with Joe. Love you guys. Bye.